welcome everybody. I'd like to call this Monday, October 24th, 2022 meeting of the Lake Havasu City Parks and Recreation Advisory Board to order. Start with Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, roll call.
Sherry Butler is excused. Kyler Cox.
Here.
Shannon Murray, I'm sorry.
Here.
Ashley Pasquale.
Here.
Alex Ross.
Here.
Philip Shannon.
Here.
Todd Taylor. Alexis Wolf.
Here.
Natalie Schrader.
Here.
And Michelle Lynn.
Here.
All right, we'll start with the call to the public. We will now have an open call to the public for citizens wishing to address the board on issues within the jurisdiction of this board. Your comments must be limited to 3 minutes or less. If you wish to address an item already on today's agenda, you should wait until that item is announced for a public hearing. At the conclusion of the open to the call of the public, individual members of the board may respond to criticism made by those who address the board, may ask staff to review a matter, or may ask that the matter be placed on a future agenda. However, board members cannot discuss or take legal actions on matters not already on the agenda. Is there anybody here that would like to address the board? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to the approval of the September 26, 2022 meeting minutes. Looking for a motion?
A motion to approve.
And a second?
I second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, perfect. And we will move on to item number 6, communications, announcements, and staff report. Director Keene, if you need a break in the middle of it, let me know. You got a long list?
We do have a good one today. Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Youth Talent Show will be held on October 27th at 6 p.m. at the stage under the London Bridge. Due to some unfortunate weather, we had to reschedule the Fall Fun Fair, and that is scheduled for October 29th from 3 to 8 p.m. on the Rotary Park ball fields. We'll be having a Halloween event, Boo Bash, on October 31st from 5 to 7 p.m. in the Relics and Rods Hall. And the Elks Hoop Shoot at the after-school program will begin in November. I'd like to thank the Elks. We just finished up the soccer shoot with them this past month. So again, I'd like to thank the Elks for sponsoring those events for the after-school program. In the aquatics area, we'll have a couple of staff members attending training with Arizona Game and Fish to become kayaking instructors. Sea Scout Life-Saving and Swimming Merit Badges will be held on November 5th. We'll also have a few staff members attending the Colorado River Kids Safety Days on November 8th and 9th to promote our swim lessons, junior guards, and lifeguard recruitment. The pool will be closed on November 11th for Veterans Day. We will have a lifeguard recruitment that opens in November. Please visit www.lhcaz.gov if you're looking for a lifeguard job. The pool will also be closed for annual maintenance from November 21st through December 11th. All land exercises classes will continue during the pool closure. In the community center, we have a Vitalant blood drive running October 24th through the 27th. Arizona Collectibles and Firearms Show will be held October 29th and 30th. The Eastern Star Bunko will be held November 1st. Miracle on the River Connection, November 4th through the 6th. Lake Havasu High School swim team will be having their dinner banquet on November 9th. The Gem and Mineral Show will be held on November 12th and 13th. The Lake Havasu High School Educational Tour Group Shopping Expo is on November 15th. Western Welcome Holiday Boutique, November 18th and 19th. And the Havasu Art Guild Holiday Shop will be held November 26th and 27th. Some events taking place out in the parks. Piccadilly Pickleball Tournament will be held at Dick Sant Park tomorrow, October 25th. There'll be a Walk Away from Drugs event at London Bridge Beach Stage on October 26th. The London Bridge Days Parade will be on McCulloch Boulevard Saturday, October 29th. The Pancake Breakfast will be at the stage underneath the London Bridge on Sunday, October 30th at 7 a.m. Fright Night will be held on McCulloch Boulevard Monday, October 31st. We will have a Starline music performance at the stage under the London Bridge on Thursday, November 3rd at 6 p.m. Moving for Memory Walk will be held at the London Bridge Beach November 5th. Lake Havasu Chamber Foundation for Education and Leadership food truck event will be held on the property of McCulloch and Querio on Saturday, November 5th. There will be a turkey trot on the island Sunday, November 13th. Havasu Skates at the Sarah Park Skate Rink Saturday, November 19th. Havasu Christmas Craft and Gift Show will be held on the property between McCulloch and Querio on November 19th and 20th. Turkey Time Round Robin Charity Event at Dick Sant Pickleball Courts will be held Monday, November 21st. The annual Swim Across the English Channel will be held Friday, November 25th. And Skate to Elevate Private Skate Clinic at Tennell Memorial Skate Park on Saturday, November 26th. With that, that concludes my director's report, and I'll take any questions.
Good job. That was a lot. Questions, comments for the director? Just a couple things I'd like to touch on. The Fall Fun Fair, again, it's a great event. It was unfortunate that we had a little bit of a weather event that day. I definitely support your guys' decision to reschedule that, out of the safety for our kids. Obviously, there's a lot of kids that go to that. I know that there was forecasted to be a pretty large weather event that day. I know that we didn't necessarily get the size of weather event that we were expecting, but definitely great call on you guys and your staff to postpone that. Plus, I think that falls back into the tradition with them running together at the same time with the London Bridge Days Parade anyways. Couple other items, the staff attending the training with the Arizona Game and Fish Department to become kayak instructors. I think it's a great thing. Again, our city is based around our waterways and the lake, and anything we can do to promote that and promote safety is amazing. The Sea Scout Life Saving and Swimming Merit Badges, again, is another great event. The Sea Scouts, if nobody knows who they are, they're a great program here in Lake Havasu. They teach a lot of great morals, ethics, and a lot of things about boating and waterways and just overall, things that are just great skills to learn. Kathy does an amazing job, overseeing that. And again, it's a great program for those that aren't aware. And then the kids on the Colorado River, again, the fact that you guys are going to be there, your staff's going to be there is another great thing. I think that's scheduled to hit all the middle schoolers, or is it all seventh grade? Seventh grade. So all of seventh grade. So that's going to be a huge presence. And I know there's going to be a lot of community involvement with that. So great job. And again, this is why we all live here, these events, and this is just a taste of the events that we're going to see in our community. But great job to your staff for keeping them going and really keeping these events active and where they need to be. We definitely appreciate you for sure. So if you could pass that on to your staff, I'd appreciate it. Does anybody else have any questions, comments about any of the events? Okay. We will move on to public hearings. Item 7.1, discussion of the Downtown Catalyst project update. Director King.
Thank you. So I did have a conversation with Dig Studios earlier this afternoon, and the 90% documents will be delivered later this week. And we expect the pricing to come with that in mid-November. And they're looking to do their presentation to council at the second meeting in November, if that meeting takes place due to the holidays. If not, it will be in the first meeting in December that they'll come and do the presentation of the final design, or those 90% designs, and looking at the feedback with the pricing included into that package. A few items that have been brought up and discussed with them as well is a drop-off area during events where we might be able to have some vehicles drop off individuals that need a little extra assistance, whether that be wheelchairs or strollers or different things there. Some additional amenities, including I'm going to use furniture as really, we took that kind of out of the altogether package. Just for pricing, we'll buy picnic tables and benches and that type of stuff ourselves. But one area that we do want identified, and again, a furniture and fixture that we will be purchasing were bike racks. As we see more and more electric bikes in town. I wouldn't, a few years ago, I wouldn't say Havasu was the most bike-friendly community going back up the hill. So now with the explosion of electric bikes, it's a lot easier and you see a lot more bicycles around. So we want to include some bike racks. And then we continue to have the conversation regarding water conservation measures and what exactly that will mean. Maybe a few less trees than was in the original design. I'm kind of looking at that northern area that we kind of had a ring of trees around, if that is necessary. And then last meeting, we had the question had come up of how much turf is at the current property and how much the new design would have. And I do have answers to that question tonight. Currently, there's approximately 56,000 square feet of turf. And in the new design, that is reduced to 23,000 square feet. So that's approximately a 60% reduction in the amount of turf that is currently there. So in those, so we're getting closer and closer to that finish line. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for the director?
I have some questions / things to say, I guess. Last meeting, Councilmember Lynn, you asked about talking to constituents and doing our research, so I did just that on both counts. And just wanting to get some clarification. Again, when this, the America's Best Communities was happening, I just moved to Havasu, wasn't really a part of that, obviously, or anything. I did want to ask, because I wanted to look up what the competition was, what the parameters were. I wanted to learn more about where the basis of all this came from. And unfortunately, the website is defunct now. There is a website, but I couldn't get onto it. I wanted to ask about the funding a little bit, because apparently it looks as though Lake Havasu City won second place in the competition. And on the article that I found, it looks like that was an award of $2 million, but we're dealing with $1 million.
Correct. That money was decided in the town halls really to be broken up into three different main projects. One of them being this downtown catalyst site. One of them being what is now being built right there on McCullough, the Nomadic, which is an effort by the Partnership for Economic Development to house businesses that are just really getting started or just need an office space maybe for a day to have a meeting, a joint venture there. And then the third being the Environmental Learning Center.
Thank you. I'll look up that Environmental Learning Center and I'll continue my research on all that too. So I think I appreciate that. That clears up where that money is and everything. When I was down on McCullough on Thursday for the car parade for the Relics and Rods, the spur of the moment, I was down looking at the space down on McCullough and Querio and talked to about maybe 10, 15 people who were down there, just took the opportunity off the spur of the moment to kind of get their opinion since we're standing right here on the property. What do you think? And so just some feedback that I got, the bathrooms were a big yes. That was a big selling point for a lot of people. People liked the shade, places to sit. Pretty much everybody was in favor of it. One person brought up a barbecue competition that they might like to see, so that's something we can table maybe pursue in the future at some point. Two people did note that they felt like there could be more kid-centered things. One person mentioned, maybe having water slides in that space and everything. Again, I don't know the feasibility of that, but that was just some feedback of kid-centered things. And then there was the concern at one point, again, like I said, people were pretty much in favor, but there was curiosity since it is right across the bars. People come out at 2 a.m., they're intoxicated. Oh, here's some benches, here's some this. And then the police are going to have to be the ones to kind of deal with that. That being said, that person still said, okay, they could still plop down on the grass and do that too. But I did just kind of wonder, and I don't know if this is common or not, talking to the police about public safety, if they have any concerns from a public safety point of view of putting this in. But yeah, other than that, now the thing that I wish I would have had foresight to do, I didn't have the numbers on me. So yes, everybody's informed and happy with this. One person said that they saw the plans online and they liked it. The question is, okay, if this goes over and if this goes into tax dollars or if we have to pay for it a certain way, are you still going to want to have these things? So unfortunately, I didn't ask that question, not having the figures in front of me, but that's just kind of some work I did on the topic. This week, so.
Great job. It's awesome to see that. Anybody else? Now is the time. I don't want to pressure anybody to talk again, but I think this is a pretty big topic of our community right now, and this is a pretty important job that we've been tasked with as the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board to give this input. And great job. I mean this is what we want to hear. I do think it was interesting to note that you talked to 10 or 15 people, and out of that small number, one of them said they did see the plans. So I think that outreach that we did is working. I just think it's typical with, the communities of our size. People see it. They may not be vocal about it, but they're seeing it. So that is good. But again, I'd encourage any of the board members here now to talk so we can get your thoughts and opinions out there. If you've heard anything similar, if you've heard anything different, especially after last meeting where a lot of good topics got brought up. I mean, again, let's get the thoughts out there now. Okay. No, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Awesome research too. Like you just brought up so many things that I don't think I even thought of. One of the biggest things I think was you brought up that people were worried about just like the bars and kind of the nightlife area. Like how would that, I guess, exist where you have this event space that's kind of drawing in families and stuff. So that's just something that I didn't even think about that I think would be like an important part to consider when putting these events in that space.
Another, that reminded me, another concern, again, not a massive concern, but was again with bathrooms, vagrancy, homeless, what does that look like and everything in terms of safety? So definitely some pros and cons. I am just, again, really anxious and itching to see those final numbers. Do they give us estimates at all? Is it all just, you just wait until?
Yeah, we're really waiting as that design elements have shifted a little bit. I mean, the basic design has been there since the 30%. But so as we get into these 90, then they can actually go out to some of the vendors and kind of try to get some better estimating of what it is and what those true prices would be.
So if I understand the process going forward, then the 90% will be delivered to the Parks Department later this week. And then DIG Studio will present to the City Council meeting either in November or December what the 90% is. And then the debate continues of, do we want to proceed with this? Is this feasible? And okay.
Correct. They'll have that presentation. They'll see the numbers, have the discussion of, is this the direction we want to move forward in? And if so, then they will direct the city manager to open that bid process if that's the direction that's given.
Yeah, I think that city council meeting is going to be an important one for this project. I think we're really going to see a direction. And I think we're going to get a lot of great input from the entire council on which direction they want to go with this. So I think that'll be important for sure. Is there going to be a time where they're going to bring those plans back to this board or anything like that? Or are we going to kind of see what the direction is first?
I can definitely forward the plans or give you guys a they're big, so I might not be able to actually email them to you, but I should be able to find a place where you guys can look at them and get all those same numbers. With Dig Studios being in Phoenix, the presentation billable hours. So there is one, that presentation will be given to the city council. But you guys will get all that information. I also encourage you to come to that council meeting and speak as well.
Great. Yes, sir.
In regards to the, is my mic on?
You have to press the red. There you go.
There we
You're
go.
on now.
On the splash pad area, which originally did call for some restrooms to go in that was overlooked, and I don't know what all the history was associated with that. I think the County of Mojave shut that down for health reasons. Will the bathrooms that we're talking about, and there's concerns about cost overruns, had the bathrooms been there in the first place when that pad would be put in, that would be from taxpayer dollars as opposed to the funding that's coming out of the America's Best Communities contest that we won. Will those portable bathrooms go away? Has there been any discussion about that?
There has been some discussion about that. Those portable bathrooms cannot go away from the splash pad until permanent restrooms are in place while that splash pad is open. That is a Mojave County Health Department regulation to have those there. And even with these permanent bathrooms on this particular piece of property, because it is not the same piece of property, it does not qualify as being those restrooms for the splash pad.
So if I'm understanding correctly, then those portable units will stay there.
Yes, we're still working on making those permanent and not permanently putting portable restrooms there, actually building permanent
Okay.
restrooms in that location.
Last question in that regard. Has there been discussion, bring me up to speed possibly, about the use of portable trailer-like restrooms that are more durable, more serviceable, and look a lot better than the portable units that we have there?
Are you referring to the Downtown Catalyst project or the one over at the splash
One
pad?
over at the splash pad, or it could be both, actually. There's been some discussion, some of the property owners down there, and sharing some of the concerns about late night activities and
Sure.
maintenance and vandalism and that kind of thing, if you had portable versus permanent, and so on and so forth. So I was interested in that discussion and dialogue.
Sure, yeah. We, I for the splash pad itself, and I don't want to get too far off a topic here, just because it is a different
It's a different topic. I
topic.
understand. Thank you.
But we have not had the conversation of upgrading those to a higher quality. As far as the restrooms on the Downtown Catalyst site, that is something that we had talked about originally was, and the permanent restrooms really stood out from what the public and the business owners were wanting down there. Now, yes, there is the concern of vandalism, of vagrancy as well, and what we can do, if those doors lock at a particular hour of the evening to try to prevent the homeless from using that as their sleeping area at night. Those can be items definitely discussed. Now, also with some of the larger events, these bathrooms will not cover enough to say, okay, we don't need additional portable restrooms. And then that would be left up to the event and the promoter if they would be interested in upgrading those from just the standard jackpot porta-john.
And Mr. Ross, I would just encourage you, we have an item where we talk about future discussion items. I think your topic that you did bring up about the splash pad, if you want to add that to the future discussion items, I would encourage you to do that. So, I think we do have a little bit of a consensus, which is interesting because, again, we've done a lot of town halls and a lot of meetings where we've talked about event space and really what people want to see. And I think we're seeing that consensus is that event space for the most part. As far as some of the topics that you talked about, as far as, the potential transient population or things like that, I don't think that's anything that can't be resolved or worked on or whatever the case may be. I don't know that those are hard problems that we, need to super worry about. Again, I think that a similar mindset would be, shutting down Rotary Park because we may have a transient problem. I don't think that's necessarily a big concern in my mind, at least. I think that we have a great law enforcement, a great police department here that, can enforce the laws when they need to be enforced. And again, I think that, the staff with the Parks and Recs division could manage it to where, we didn't have a huge issue. But again, obviously it's still a concern. Just taking note of some of these items during the director's report that we have going on this month. There's a handful that are based at that location that we're talking about tonight. So I think that's something that should be noted. I think, it's one of those things to where it's, what do we want? Do we want just an open grass field? Do we want an event space? Do we want a parking lot? I think those are all big things. And those are all concerns that have gotten brought up to this board. And I think it sounds to me, again, at least here tonight, that, there's a pretty large consensus that the community wants an event space. Again, we'll see what the council says, but, I'd encourage anybody that's listening to maybe make that known. Does anybody else have any comments? Again, I think this is great conversation. Does anybody else
Mr.
have
Chair?
anything they'd like to talk about? Ashley, go ahead.
Mr. Chair? Yeah, I just wanted to say that I agree with everything you just said.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, this is a public hearing, so I would like to open it to the members of the public that'd like to speak. If you'd like to, go ahead and make your way to the podium.
Thank you. Bonnie Toy.
If you could say your name in the microphone.
Oh, the timer's not going on. I'm so used to the timer going on. Hey, I'm Bonnie Toy. I really look forward to, oh, good grief, I'm on the camera. Hello. Sorry. The Downtown Catalyst project is really an interesting project in the way it is presented. And the one picture that I saw where you have all those shades up and the way Dig Studio lined them up just so to prevent sun exposure, just so in certain places, that's really fascinating. I still am concerned about the whole balloons not being able to access or use the hot air balloons, because hot air balloons are part of our beautiful feature of Lake Havasu nowadays. And then the parking lot across from that Downtown Catalyst area, and the parking is atrocious, and that is still a concern. And you obviously, your Parks and Rec have no issues with it's not your responsibility. The parking lot is not your responsibility there, and that parking lot is horrendously horrible. But is it the responsibility for you for any kind of parking issues in front of the park that you're going to create? Like Jack Hardy has areas that were separated out on both sides of the lot to have parking, so people would have a place to park. And I don't see that going on in the Catalyst designing. Like, you're just relying on the parking that's already there, not creating extra parking, which I think needs to be done. Also, and again, my comment right now is just for discussion and throwing this thoughts out there. But Lake Havasu is this really beautiful small city. People see it and think of it as a small city versus a large metropolis. We keep changing everything, and some of the things that need to how to blend the smallness, the care, the concern, like you were mentioning about the transients, the care and the concern of the safety of people, and still have growth, to be able to combine both. We really do need to figure that out. I was talking to someone online today, which, again, sorry, but she has the same illness that I do. She lives in Staten, next to the Staten Island Bridge in New Jersey. She says her husband, she can't not walk. So she can't run. She doesn't go to a doctor's office, doctors by herself. Her husband, when he leaves their house, they have to lock the door 2 or 3 places. Like they have like two locks on their door. So it's like, we don't deal with that in Havasu. There's a lot of things that we don't deal with in Havasu because we're smaller. We still have to keep the safety of everything concerned. And I just appreciate your guys' thoughts on that. That's all.
Thank you. And we appreciate your comments. Truly, and again, we wish there was more of the community that come and tell us their thoughts as well. So again, we appreciate you. All right, anybody else from the public? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing on item 7.1. Any further comments about the Downtown Catalyst project? Councilmember Lynn, anything?
I'm waiting for the council meeting.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll move on to item 7.2, discussion of the Aquatic Center HVAC project update. Director King.
Thank you. This is just a short update. Everything is moving forward. They're getting through all the paperwork end and the submittals. The subcontractors will be meeting on site November 7th and 8th, and the project will start getting underway on November 21st, which coincides with the pool closure, and they believe they can get the majority of the project done during that time, with the exception of the actual units. And once those come in, they'll just be able to crane them up, but all the support structures and everything will be in place. The new yes, I forgot that word. All the new air duct, the duct work in the locker rooms will be in place. That's part of the work that they'll be doing during our shutdown. So we're looking forward to a couple weeks away and that project really taking off.
Great. Any questions, comments from the board? All right, again, just another great project. This is a public hearing, so I'll open item 7.2. Any members of the public that'd like to address the board in reference to this? All right, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any final thoughts or concerns? All right, move on to item 7.3, discussion of the pickleball court project update. Director King.
Thank you. Another short update on this. The holes for all the fence posts, the digging of those will start this week, and they will be installing the fence posts starting next week. With the supply chain, the fence posts have been a piece that we have been waiting on, and they have told us that they should be here next week, and they'll be able to start installing them. That allows then for all the concrete to be poured, that post-tension concrete, and then that concrete does need to sit for 21 days to fully cure before they can coat it as well. So it still looks like mid to late December on that project, but I'm getting a little bit more and more nervous as each day goes by, and some of these supply chain issues, which we're seeing in all of the projects that are being done. So it's not shocking that we might be slipping a little bit behind on that, but still hopeful that it all comes together, and we're looking at mid to late December as well.
Great. Questions, comments, concerns, reference to this item? As always, just thank you to that anonymous donor. I'm going to say it every time this gets brought up. What an amazing person you are. Thank you so much. We appreciate everything you do for our community. It's going to be a great project once it's done. All right, this is a public hearing. Anybody from the public like to address the board in reference to the pickleball court update?
Just thank you for the pickleball court people.
All right. Again, another thank you to the association and to the donor. Anybody else? Okay, seeing none from the public. Any final thoughts? All right. I'll close the public hearing and we'll move on to item 7.4, discussion about the Aquatic Center fees. Director King.
Thank you. This item was
Looks
asked
like we lost
for.
Ashley. Oh, I'm sorry.
What's that?
I said, I don't know if we lost Ashley. Oh, she's still up there. Never mind. Our screen's changed. There she is. Sorry.
Board Member Butler asked this to be a future discussion item at our last meeting. So we did bring that to you tonight. In front of you, it might pop up on your screen as well, but there you go. In front of you, you do have a sheet with some of the fees, not only for Lake Havasu City, but for several other cities. I just want to talk for a minute about how our fees are brought up and adjusted. The fees are reviewed annually. In 2016, a method to adjust the fees was determined to be based on the Consumer Product Index, or the CPI. Council did decide a few years ago to see them every 2 years, and traditionally this would not be a review year for City Council. However, with CPI hovering around 14% currently, there are definitely some concerns regarding the fees. So Admin Services will be bringing this item to the City Council meeting on November 12th and kind of seeking some direction from Council of what would they like to see regarding the fees. If we wait another year, what does that CPI really look like with it being already at 14%? That's a huge number. With that, each department gets to make recommendations on their fees. As far as the Aquatic Center fees, I have made the recommendation that we not increase those fees in the upcoming year. The list of cities that are in front of you here, we're taking from our comparable cities that we use for our salary surveys. So there are a couple that don't have aquatic areas at all. So I removed those from the list. One thing I do want to caution, as you look at these fees, they're not necessarily comparing apples to apples. Each city does their recreation centers a little bit differently. Different amenities, different services are included with the fee. So it is really hard to just grab another city's fee off a website and say, well, this is what they charge, so it's what we should charge. There's a lot of differences out there. One piece that I did want to point out as you look through our fees, I know a topic has been discussed as far as a family coming, and it can get very expensive utilizing the full price rate. One thing that we do offer is a 20 punch pass, and that brings the cost of the facility down considerably. As you see there on the bottom, it's $3.70 a child to be able to come. Again, those are sold in units of 20. So if you're looking at the summer, you could purchase several of those to be able to work through. While doing this, there are a couple. Well, I'll hold that thought and then bring it up to you guys and have a discussion. Again, I'm not 100% sure what Board Member Butler's intention of bringing this forward was, but that's the information I wanted to provide to you.
Great. Thank you. Comments from the board? Questions?
Can I ask a question? I know why we usually do these specific comparable cities. Does Bullhead and Kingman, do they have aquatic centers?
Kingman, they both have outdoor pools, and the pool in Kingman is open during the summer, and it is $3 a person. Bullhead Cities is, let's see, adults are $2.50 and children 4 to 17 are $1.50. Again, you're looking at a very different body of water in both those facilities than you are at the Aquatic Center.
One other question. I know in the summertime, we use that pool a lot with the school programs. Do you know offhand, I know this is probably hard, what our open swims are available during the week?
I believe this last summer we were running open swim Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday from noon to 4.
What time?
From noon to 4.
Oh, okay.
And then any of the children or youth that are in our after-school program do come swimming on Tuesday and Thursdays. So we reserve that time just for them. And that is included in their fee.
I have a couple questions. So what do the fees go to? Do they just go to the overall maintenance, or do they go to, like, what exactly do the fees go to?
Yeah, this gets a little difficult to explain, but basically all revenue goes into the general fund, and then we sit in that general fund with the police department, fire department, and so that's the area that we would also pull those dollars from. So, but the fees are part of just the general revenue of the city and the general fund.
And is there so like, let's say somebody comes up from Parker and they want to use the aquatic center, are they charged a different price based on the fact that they're not a resident?
No, we do not have resident and non-resident fees. That is something that in different areas of the country, you really see going away. More and more agencies, parks and recreation agencies especially, are going to just a standard fee and not utilizing residencies as your and some of that has to do with how the city receives funds. If you're more property-based versus more sales tax-based, the residency doesn't play as big of a role in that.
Gotcha.
Anybody else? Go ahead.
So this is something that, in passing, a few different people have mentioned to me in terms of the aquatic center fees. I will be forthright and upfront. I am not blessed with children of my own, so I don't necessarily know the struggle of all that. I will totally admit that. I've been thinking about this in anticipation for the meeting and kind of going back and forth and being existential as I tend to do best. I see the point of wanting to make it more affordable and wanting to lower it. It's a city activity or a city property, so we want the citizens of the city to enjoy and to be able to participate in that. That being said, I also see, in order to offer this activity, this facility, we have to be able to pay for it. We have to be, I'm fully aligned with the updates and everything. I think that will be great with the HVAC and everything and stuff. So I guess I would be curious for people, and I'm not against lowering or anything, but I would be curious to know what would be acceptable to people, what people would feel would be good. Yeah, I'm trying to weigh my words here. Taking a family to the movies is really expensive too, but the movies don't necessarily lower prices or anything. Now, I get a movie theater is not a city property or anything, but yeah, this whole kind of thing, especially like I said, with people wanting to see more child-oriented things or kid-oriented things. Again, I'm totally not against that, but would be curious to see what some of people's ideas were. I remember being a 16-year-old in South Bend, Indiana, saying, there's nothing to do in this town. There's nothing, and when in fact there are things to do. So I think it's a subject both with I'm getting a little off track here, but with the fees and with the families, maybe that's something I'll do some more legwork on as we go to different events and everything to engage and say, okay, give me some ideas. What are some things you want to see? So on this topic, I know we're not voting on it or anything, but I'm a little split. I see both sides. So.
Great comments. Anybody else?
I would just say, like, for me, what I can see kind of being an issue is it's not necessarily like the one time, but if I'm a mom with 4 kids, right, and I want to go because I don't have a pool and it's 120 degrees and I don't necessarily want to go down to the lake, I could see that being really expensive, and okay, we go swimming Tuesday, well then we want to go again Wednesday, and all of a sudden it's like $100 week. So is there a process in place if it is a multiple family, if there's multiple children using it? Is there any sort of discount or anything like that?
Again, that's where that, excuse me, that 20 punch pass would fit well. That the whole family can use off of that pass.
Anybody else? I have a couple comments. So the Kingman pool, is that the one that's by the high school off like Beale Street? Do you know? Are you familiar?
I'm not totally familiar, but I believe that is correct.
Okay. And the reason I ask is I was just up there recently for a football game. And when we talk about not comparing apples to apples, I mean, there's a significant difference. I mean, we're talking just a back, I mean, it's a little bigger, right? But essentially a backyard pool out in the open with a fence around it. Again, great facility for Kingman, but when we talk about Kingman's $3 compared to what we have, there's a significant difference. So I obviously want to make sure that we keep that in mind. These other facilities, are you familiar with what any of these other facilities look like in the comparisons we made?
Some of them, I can't say I've been to all of them. Again, as you look, the more expensive ones are going to be a lot more elaborate. When you look there at Buckeye, there's, again, is only a summer pool, probably very similar to what you were describing at Kingman's facility. Yuma is kind of the same way. But when you get into like Maricopa, it is, a weight room, an indoor track, there's
Like
a lot
athletic center
more
kinda?
of things. Yes, exactly. So again, it's real difficult comparing because they're not apples to apples.
Okay, that answered my question. Again, when we look at these costs, you have all the way at one spectrum at $10 all the way down to $2. And we're in the middle. And again, I would venture to say our facility is definitely on the top end of things of what I would imagine. So to confirm with the punch pass, so sold in units of 20. So essentially, if you buy that punch pass, and you have like, let's say 2 kids and 2 adults or whatever the case may be, that would just be 4 punches out of that 20.
Currently, that is correct.
Which would drop our cost, or the cost, almost in half.
Yes.
From $6 to $3.70 per person.
Correct.
Okay. When we talk about these fees, and again, I'm not going to try to put you on the spot here, but do these fees cover the cost to run the pool completely?
No, the entire department is very subsidized through different taxes. But yes, we do not operate by any means as an enterprise fund. We are not making what it costs to run any of the aspects of our department.
Okay, and that's kind of where I was getting at. Do we know what percentage is covered? I mean, again, maybe even just a shot in the dark. What percentage is covered by these fees versus what we're subsidizing with tax dollars?
If I have to look at the entire budget, and this includes parks and everything in the Parks and Recreation budget, we're between 15 and 20% cost recovered.
Okay, so
15
15 to 20% is what we're getting back in these fees.
Correct.
The other 80%, let's say, is covered with tax dollars.
Correct.
Okay.
Those are the services that our citizens have really spoken and said that we do want this as part of our community. We want the parks to be taken care of. We want the aquatic center to be there. And so, but yes, the total, we're about between 15 and 20% cost recovery.
On a normal day, how many staff members do you have at the aquatic center on like an open swim day?
We just to open the pool, we have to have 7 lifeguards on staff.
7 lifeguards?
Yes.
At one time?
At one time. And that's just the size of that pool when we have the slide on, the fountains outside, 1 to 2 cashiers up front as well on an open swim day. So yeah, we are talking a significant amount of staff that are there during open swim.
Okay. And is the pool utilize chlorine?
Yes, it does.
Okay. But I have a pool and I know that chlorine costs are a little on the uprise. Is that affecting operations? I mean, are you guys seeing that?
Yes, we definitely see the same increases that you see at your house. We get those in our chemicals, our safety gear for the guards, everything. Currently, it's goes up, so those expenses have increased.
Okay. When and you may have said this, when did we adjust our rates last? How long ago was it? And did it go up or down?
So it's been about a year and a half since fees were changed, and I believe not all of these fees increased. One of the things that we try to stir away from is dealing in denominations that include 10 cents, 15 cents, 3 cents, and make them round numbers. It's just a lot easier, one for the patron coming in as well as our own staff and what denomination of currency we have to keep on hand as well. So while a CPI increase of 3% might come around, we might hold that for a couple of years just so that we're not having to do $5.04. That just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It takes more time to pass out the change than you're actually bringing in. So so not all of those fees may have been adjusted at that time.
Yeah, I remember as a kid, my mom giving me like $3 and saying, go have fun at the pool for the day. And I did that. Again, and I'm asking these questions because I think these are the questions that we need to keep in mind and the answers that you gave us, because again, it's one of those things that we need to think of as a board, and the city council needs to think of as the council of how much do we want to subsidize this? I think, and maybe it's just one of those things that people aren't aware, but I think that punch pass with 20 passes and it drops the cost to $3.70. I mean, that seems low to me. I'll be honest with you. I'm all open to listening about it. Again, I'm a family of 4. I have 2 children. We utilize the pool, and it is. I wouldn't say it's expensive, but it's. Again, I could see where it could become tough. For people that are trying to go there regularly, I could see where it could get expensive. But again, I think that these are all topics that we need to keep in mind with how much. We subsidize versus how much we recoup. And I think that's important for us to keep in mind. So does anybody else have anything?
In terms of revenue, I think you mentioned this goes into the general fund. And then what percentage, if not all of it, goes back to parks? Do we know?
Yeah, I don't know what percentage of the general fund, the Parks and Recreation budget.
Can we get our hands around that number maybe?
Certainly.
One of the concerns I have with Parks and Recreation is some of the lost revenue opportunities that are out there. I think that our parks are woefully underutilized, and we could look at ways of expanding that to expand our revenue options. Next question I have is in regards to other funding that's available through social organizations in town, like KinderSwim. That's still going on,
Yes,
and that's through Rotary. So that's a subsidized program and revenues that come to Parks and Recreation. So I would say to those that are in need maybe of some assistance to cover these expenses, if they've got a large family or unit need to do something, that there's probably some scholarships out there. If they do a little bit of groundwork on that, or Parks and Recs has some resources and information available where they can go and apply for some assistance on those kinds of things. So I know there's many organizations that are, they've got some cash. They're looking for places to help, and we should maybe look for ways to make that information available and accessible to them. So, and thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. This is a public hearing. Did we open the public hearing already? We did not, right? Okay, this is a public hearing. Members of the public that'd like to address the board in reference to this, go ahead and make your way forward.
Good evening, Bonnie Toy. I have lots of thoughts on this subject because it is a subject in my brain that is near and dear to my heart because I love swimming. And my memory of being able to go to the public pool when I was a child, it was 50 cents. I lived a mile away in a city that in the summertime, my brother and I would go every single day. We would run barefoot on hot asphalt. Over 100 degrees would be over 100 degrees. We ran barefoot every morning to the public pool because it was an amazing place to be able to hang out with our friends and have fun. We were there all the time. And then I moved to Havasu, and I had multiple children. And the idea, after a certain age, $3. I mean, it was 3 children at $5 a pop for 5 days a week was unattainable to me. And I never, as that adult mom, I didn't ever stop to think about going to the aquatic center or speaking up at meetings like this. It never occurred to me to say, hey, the cost is a little bit unattainable for some families. Also, when you talk about, oh, you can just go ask somebody for help. In all honesty, I don't want to ask for help. I didn't want to ask for help. I would rather be able to go to the aquatic center and send my children to the aquatic center without having to ask somebody for help. And so my idea for the whole reason for lowering the costs of the aquatic center is just during school summer vacation for the kids. Basically, it's for the kids. Everybody says, oh, it's always for the kids. Well, truth. I would like to be able to see kids going to the aquatic center, having fun. Now, you sit here and can say, oh, but it's going to cost taxpayers. It might, but what you're going to receive in return from the children of Havasu having fun at your taxpayer-funded facility is free advertisement. Not just any kind of free advertisement. You're not getting, oh my gosh, the aquatic center was so boring. You're going to get, oh my gosh, I was able to go to the aquatic center and have fun with my friends. At your taxpayer-funded facility, you're getting free advertisement all over your social media, everywhere. People are going to be able to go hang out without thinking. Parents will be able to send their kids, and my hopes is that parents will be able to send their kids and not worry about what they're doing. They'll be in a safe location, having fun, enjoying themselves. People say, oh, when you go on social media and you ask the different groups every now and then, they'll say, oh, what can the kids do to have fun? Whenever the aquatic center is mentioned, it's, oh, no, can't do that. You don't want to go there. It's unsafe. It's not clean. It's dirty. It's all they have is negative things to say. Frankly, I think that if the rates were lower, and in my brain, of course, I'm picturing $1, dollar days for the summer, again, you get the advertisement of it for all kids under the age of 17, they get to go have fun. They get exercise without even thinking about it. Their body's in motion, getting healthier or not healthier, whatever, as long as they're having fun. You could even, like Mr. Ross was mentioning, take advantage on those days, if you have dollar days during the summer for the kids, and have food trucks during that time out in the parking lot. So then you could have the food trucks that are in our city selling meals for the kids or whoever goes up to the food trucks. That was something else that I just thought of. Thanks. And a $74 punch pass at one time, even that could be outrageous for somebody who doesn't have the money for it. But if I'm able to send each child at $2 or $1, I will say my brain gets stuck on the dollar. And also, my brain never said free. Never. Because, again, it wasn't about being free. It's about being affordable and usable for everybody, not just people who can afford it, but everybody, even if you think you can't afford it. And children and families don't generally go to the movies 3 nights a week, 4 nights a week, or 5 days a week. Like I said, I remember as a kid running to that city pool daily, barefooted. So that's what I'd like to see, more kids enjoying the park, aquatic center. There's a lot there to enjoy. Thanks.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Any questions or comments for the speaker?
Mike, do you know what, in the summertime, what's our average, like, usage, like, attendees that are coming into Open Swim?
I don't have that number. I know there are many days that we do reach capacity. We have a capacity of 400 individuals in the 400 in the pool, and there are multiple days throughout the year that we do hit that. There are some days that different clubs in the community are gracious enough to sponsor where everyone is free that day. And those days certainly top out fairly quickly. And again, we really appreciate those organizations that are able to do that and make a Saturday a free day. That's absolutely amazing. But we certainly hit capacity on those days as well. But I can get an average attendance for that.
Anybody else?
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to share an idea or a comment for maybe consideration. I understand not moving in the direction of having a different fee for residents versus non-residents, but I wonder if one way to help sort of think about it as a subsidy for residents, maybe partnering with organizations. I think the easiest partner would be the school district, who already identifies children who maybe qualify for other supports, maybe using the free and reduced lunch qualification or some other eligibility where partnering with the school district to then offer some kind of pass to children who are in families that qualify for those other low-income types of services. That would be supporting our direct residents, and it wouldn't affect the fee structure. I just wonder if that could be something to consider in the future.
We do follow that for our after-school program and our camps. So is the suggestion to do that for daily drop-in as well?
I don't really know how the administration of it works. I just wondered if some kind of even if it's the punch card pass or something that could be provided for free so that those families could enjoy the aquatic center on their own time, but help, cover the cost of that.
Yeah, certainly something we can explore.
Just to piggyback off that, I know at the high school what we used to do for all of the athletic programs is they would have like a tax write-off because our programs required, a payment to help with uniforms, all that kind of stuff. I don't know what the logistics would be, but especially for the high school swim team, if they did a part of that write-off went to helping the upkeep of the facility.
Okay. Do you have a comment too? Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Maybe not. I don't know. Yeah, again, it's a conversation that's interesting to me and that's open. And the thing that I kind of keep going back to, and this is taking it maybe way too far, is what is the role of the government in providing entertainment and providing things? Again, idle kids having nothing to do, being bored. I'm a mental health counselor. I get it. It's not a good thing. That being said, I also know that there's a cost to everything. And I think the points that you were making, Skylar, about, okay, what does the chlorine cost? What does this cost? There's no such thing as a free lunch. Somebody is going to pay for it. Somebody is going to not. And I want to see kids go and everything and have fun and have a good time. I'm not against that by any means. I want to make that clear. But I think there's realistic with inflation and everything, like I said. So I think it goes back to, okay, is the aquatic center a babysitting business in the summer that, okay, you go and you drop your kids off. And I'm not saying that people use it that way, but well, they should be able to go every day. Well, okay. I mean, should they? I mean, I don't know. I think that's a discussion and a question to have is, you know, is it, wow, I get to go once a week. This is awesome. Or is it, well, I need my kids to go every day because I don't have anything else. But that's a bigger, yeah.
No, that certainly is a good point, as we do not want to turn into the center being a babysitting service where parents do just drop their kids off and leave them there day after day after day. That presents lots of other challenges, not only to the child, but to the facility itself. So.
Some great points. And again, I'll credit, Board Member Butler and Bonnie Toy for bringing this to the attention. Because again, I think this is what we're here for. I think these talks are important for us to have to make sure we're whether it changes or not, that we are going the right direction. But like I said, and like you said, I think it's important for us to remember that somebody's going to have to pay for this. So let's say that we do cut these costs, let's say in half, that money we still have to come up with that. The money has to come from somewhere. So where does that money then come from? So that means now the city's tax dollars are going to have to fund that portion. Let's say it went from 20% we were, had from revenue. Now we're down to 10% of revenue that we're bringing in. Where does that other money come from? And it's going to have to come from tax dollars. And, I try to keep up on the city council meetings, and I was watching the city council meeting during the budget workshops and the tax rates and things like that. And it seemed to me that there was a lot of vocal people in the room during these meetings that wanted to lower tax rates. I just don't know how we lower tax rates on one hand, but try to spend extra tax dollars on the other hand. So that's just a concern to me. Is again, I'm not necessarily for or against this. If we can make something more attainable, let's do that. But on the other hand, we want to make sure that we have this facility. If we don't have the money and this facility just goes away, then what did we achieve? So, I think that we just need to be careful with this. And, again, in my opinion, I think that, we need to really look at this and go, how much are we going to suffer and where's this other money going to come from if we do lower something? Any other questions? Okay. All right. We'll move on to future discussion items. Would anybody like to bring a topic for future discussion? Okay. All right. Seeing none, move on to future meetings.
Future meeting dates are November 28th and December 26th, which is a city holiday.
So obviously, if we can talk about the next two meetings and their scheduled dates, the November meeting is the Monday following Thanksgiving, and the December date, as was stated, is also a city holiday. It's the day after Christmas. So obviously presents some challenges there. So it would be open to a little bit of discussion of what that looks like if we're in need of having a meeting at any time in that frame.
Anybody have any thoughts or discussions?
I just have a quick question. Do you know what our retreat is? Is it February this year?
Yes, I believe
Okay,
it
because
is.
I'd like to at least see the board have a meeting once before the retreat.
Yeah, I'll just piggyback off that. I mean, I'd be open to maybe cutting it down to one meeting, but I do think that we should still have a meeting, in my opinion, just with everything going on with that 90% drawing coming with the Catalyst project, with the council's retreat. I think, that we should still meet. Like I said, where that falls into that, I don't know, but I do think we should at least have one meeting within the mix of it. Any thoughts? Agreement? Non?
I agree with that. I think that's a great idea. I would kind of be more partial leaning towards November 28th, but either way, I'll be here. So.
The question was asked if there's a different date in there that we could look at, and we'll have to look at the availability of this room. Or I know in the past when this room has been utilized for training, we do have it down at the Aquatic Center. So there might be a different opportunity to hold the meeting, on a non-traditional fourth Monday of the month.
Okay. Any other discussion? All right, seeing none, we'll adjourn this meeting. Thank you, everybody, for coming. We appreciate it.